Hello, and welcome to Music Theory Lesson 7. In this lesson, we are learning about the natural minor scale. We will look at how a natural minor scale is constructed, how it sounds different from a major scale, how minor scales connect to relative major keys, and how we can sing them using solfège. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to build a natural minor scale from any starting note and identify the relationship between a major key and its relative minor. A minor scale is another type of scale built using a specific pattern of whole steps and half steps. In our previous lesson on major scales, we learned that major scales are often described as sounding bright, cheerful, or confident. Minor scales tend to have a darker, more serious, or sometimes more dramatic sound. Of course, music can communicate many different emotions, so not every piece in a minor key will sound exactly the same. However, learning to recognize the general sound of minor will help you identify different keys and understand how composers create contrast and emotion. Let's begin with the A natural minor scale. The notes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Notice that this scale uses only the white keys on the piano. Like the major scale, the natural minor scale follows a specific pattern of whole steps and half steps. The pattern is whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Remember that a half step moves from one key to the very next key on the piano. A whole step is equal to two half steps. On the keyboard, this means that there is one key between your starting note and your destination note. Let's apply the natural minor pattern to the A minor scale. From A to B is a whole step. From B to C is a half step. From C to D is a whole step. From D to E is a whole step. From E to F is a half step. From F to G is a whole step. And from G to A is a whole step. That gives us the complete natural minor pattern. This pattern remains the same no matter which note we begin on. To build a natural minor scale from any starting note, follow 3 steps. First, begin on the starting note. This note is called the tonic. Second, write each letter name in order until you reach the tonic again. Third, add sharps or flats wherever they are needed to create the correct whole step and half step pattern. Let's build an E natural minor scale. We begin on E and write the musical alphabet in order. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. Now we check the pattern. From E to F is naturally a half step, but the first step in a natural minor scale must be a whole step. To correct this, we raise F to F sharp. E to F sharp is now a whole step. F sharp to G is a half step. G to A is a whole step. Now try playing or singing an A natural minor scale. Now listen to an E natural minor scale. As you listen, notice how the sound differs from a major scale. The scale may sound darker or more serious, but the final note should still feel like a place of rest. That feeling of arrival happens because we have returned to the tonic. Listening carefully to major and minor scales will help you begin recognizing their sounds in melodies and complete pieces of music. Musicians often use solfège syllables to sing and understand scales. In major keys, we usually begin with Do. For natural minor scales, one common system is called law-based minor. In law-based minor, the tonic of the minor scale is sung as La. The natural minor solfège syllables are La, Ti, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La. Using La as the starting point helps us hear the relationship between a minor scale and its relative major scale. For example, the A natural minor scale contains the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Using law-based minor solfège, those notes become La, Ti, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La. You can also practice this scale using the Kerwin hand signs. As you sing, try to feel La as the tonal home rather than Do. Every major key has a relative minor key. Relative major and minor keys share the same key signature, which means that they use the same collection of notes. However, they begin and end on different tonics. Let's look at C major. The notes of the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The sixth note of the C major scale is A. That means that A minor is the relative minor of C major. C major and A minor both use only the white keys of the piano. They contain the same notes, but they organize those notes around different tonal centers. In C major, C sounds like home. In A minor, A sounds like home. This difference in tonal center changes the way we hear the music, even though the two keys share the same notes and key signature. There are two helpful ways to find a relative minor key. The first method is to locate the sixth note of the major scale. For example, begin with C major and count upward. C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, and A is 6. Therefore, A minor is the relative minor of C major. You can also find the relative minor by moving down 3 semitones from the major tonic. Beginning on C, C down to B is 1 semitone. B down to B flat is 2. B flat down to A is 3. So, C major's relative minor is A minor. To find the relative major of a minor key, reverse the process and move up 3 semitones. Beginning on A to B flat is 1 semitone. B flat to B is 2. B to C is 3. Therefore, the relative major of A minor is C major. Remember that relative major and minor keys share the same key signature, but they do not share the same tonic. Minor scales form the foundation of music written in minor keys. They help composers create melodies, harmonies, chord progressions, and musical contrast. Minor keys are often used in film music, dramatic music, and pieces that communicate tension intensity, mystery, or emotional depth. Learning both major and minor scales helps us understand how music is organized and how composers shape musical ideas. Each note of a scale has a number and a name describing its role. These are called scale degrees. In a natural minor scale, the scale degrees are 1. Tonic, 2. Supertonic, 3. Mediant, 4. Subdominant, 5. Dominant, 6. Submediant, 7. Subtonic, and 8 returns to the tonic. The seventh degree of the natural minor scale is called the subtonic because it is a whole step below the tonic. Later, when we study the harmonic minor scale, we will raise the seventh note by a half step. That raised seventh note is then called the leading tone because it sits only one semitone below the tonic and strongly pulls upward toward it. Roman numerals can be used to show the chords built on each scale degree. Uppercase Roman numerals represent major chords. Lowercase Roman numerals represent minor chords. A small degree symbol represents a diminished chord. In the natural minor scale, the basic triad pattern is minor 1, diminished 2, major 3, minor 4, minor 5, major 6, and major 7. Using Roman numerals, that is 1, 2 diminished, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The lowercase tonic chord tells us that the home chord is minor. You do not need to memorize every chord quality immediately, but it is useful to begin recognizing how Roman numerals communicate both the scale degree and the quality of the chord. In this lesson, we learned that the natural minor scale follows the pattern whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. We built A natural minor and E natural minor, practiced law-based minor solfège, and explored the relationship between relative major and minor keys. We also learned that relative keys use the same notes and key signature, but have different tonics. Finally, we reviewed the scale degree names used in natural minor and introduced the Roman numerals for chords built on those scale degrees. Before moving on, practice building a natural minor scale from several different starting notes. Remember to write each letter name once. Follow the whole step and half step pattern carefully, and add accidentals only where they are needed. In the next lesson, we'll use what we learned about natural minor scales to understand harmonic and melodic minor. If you found this lesson helpful, like this video and follow along for the rest of the Music Theory series. You can also find the printable lessons and worksheets in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. Thanks for listening.